Computer AF. I'm John Boydnott.
Hi, I'm Anne, a whole award. Welcome to lucky number five.
Lucky
Uh,
number five. Yes.
Look that we're five is alive. That's always takes me back to Short Circuit. One
Love
of
that
my
film.
favorite tech movies as a kid. It was like so robot-y at the time, and now it's like that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yes.
Didn't
Quite ridiculous. Maybe a bit racist in some parts, but
Yeah, I like them being my mother always likes to point out the best scene was her seeing them all sworn in as US citizens. It may have been in the sequel in front of like Toronto City Hall.
yeah, like
It's
yes.
like
Short
things only a
circuit.
Canadian would catch. Yeah, I think it may have been the second one because we went back for more on that.
Short circuit
Um,
to Electric Boogaloo.
yeah, I love it. So, speaking of my wonderful mother, we have received our next piece of fan mail, which again, keep it coming. I mean, we're getting one to two a month, and it's amazing, and we're here for it. It was from my mother after our last episode, which I faithfully sent to her because, I still am a grown woman who wants her mom to put her artwork on the fridge.
Must have the approval of.
Yes, exactly. I'm a good little girl. So I said, "What'd you think?" And she said, "Oh, well, so technically I solicited the feedback, but whatever." She said, "Oh, it was great. You guys are great. Little sketchy on the Reacher review."
I think what she was trying to say is that I was being a little too explicit in my appreciation for his easy on the eyes
Oh,
appeal.
I'm assuming that that was meant for me. I'm assuming that any criticism would be directed at me because,
Mom's a
it
geek.
wasn't specific to either of us. I think in general she felt I love that the word was sketchy. That's like
Yeah.
fun that your mother is calling you sketchy. Our opinions towards Reacher were sketchy, and so for that we're greatly apologetic. And I don't mean to besmirch the TV character known as the very good-looking Reacher.
Yeah, what is that actor's name? Alan Richson, something like that. Richson. So
I have no idea. Names don't matter to me. I
when they're
just
six
look.
foot five, every girl just wants to look up at the man. Oh, he loves me. And when you're 6 foot, you're 6 foot one or something along those lines.
I'm six and change,
Six
so
and
like
change.
six and change, like a little, like a quarter inch.
Yeah, so you're looking for someone to make you feel a little dainty. So you're looking for for a Reacher style guy. I'm sure. And Val
I
is
mean, I'm into nerds. My husband, I'm into mad scientists and nerds. I married a king of the geeks, or I don't know that he would appreciate me calling him that. I only really in my adult life have dated geeks.
yeah. I
That
mean
doesn't
Val
mean
Kilmer.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't mean you can't also appreciate the aesthetics of the jocks.
Yes, yeah, no, but Val Kilmer, he can certainly play a jock, but he was also a nerdy guy in Weird
Oh,
Science.
real genius.
Real,
Yeah.
yes, thank you for actually knowing what it really was. Yeah, real.
That was like a geek rite of passage movie to a lot of us at University of Texas when I went there, the crowd I ran with at the time. And
Yeah,
I also, before we get into it, John, will you be my Valentine?
yeah, definitely. Dude, look at those
Thank
two.
you.
Look at those two. Oh, they're so cute.
They're
They're like,
puppies and they're in love, and I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna probably eat the chocolate.
yeah, that's. I'll just be jealous. I'm. I might have a little bit of candy myself. I'll go enjoy, but it's in the other room.
Yes. Do you have any plans for Valentine's or just to avoid the internet, maybe?
And well, actually, avoiding the internet is never in the cards. Unfortunately, my middle name is Internet, but no, it's more like the name that I took in marriage when I married the internet. Anyway, but which day is Valentine's?
Wednesday.
Which day?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Oh wow. I might be going to see a movie with a friend. The guy I've been dating is a traveling nurse, and he's
Oh.
currently traveling here. It's like one of those things where you get 3, 4 months at a certain hospital, and you can extend it if you like the hospital. For instance, he was at Bakersfield for 3 months before he came here, and he did not extend it because Bakersfield. And
Because Bakersfield.
he
Yeah.
is Bakersfield. But now he's here in Castro Valley, which is in the East Bay, in the Bay Area, and likes where he's at. And yeah, I'm hoping he extends it, but we'll see. But I think he has to work because he'll do like 3 days a week, but they're 12-hour shifts each day, and they're in the middle
Yeah, that's
of
brutal.
7 p.m. to 7 a.m. sometimes. So so we're all just doing the best we can. So I might see him. We'll see. We'll see.
I have no firm plans. Maybe Mr. Ward is working on something. I don't really get too amped up about these things because I think to a large extent they're internet holidays. I think there's a lot of commercialization to it. You know, my brother always says I don't do greeting card holidays, which is essentially what it is, but it's still fun. So what I have
Yeah.
been doing the last few years is I am more into Galentine's, you know, because for me and my husband, it's our anniversary, right? It's like
Yeah.
our first date or our anniversary that matters the most to us. Do I have Valentine's all over my house? Absolutely. But um, I do Galentine's, and so I've made these little gift boxes for my some of my friends and neighbors, my elderly neighbors,
That's sweet.
uh, who I really adore and who always give my dogs treats. And so I like to go take the little bits of happiness. I think that's how I like to celebrate is just, you know, it's not just romantic love in your life, it's all the love in your life that I think is worth celebrating. And just, you know, use it as an opportunity to make someone smile.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea. You actually, I mean, I find it interesting that anyone would think that you don't do holidays pretty well or that you have a holiday because like you really do it pretty well. If it's Christmas, if it's whatever it may be, you've got all the like I got a tchotchke. Look, it says XOXO to celebrate, Valentine. I mean, like you know how to do it up. So
I
yeah,
like to. Yeah.
kind of think you do it a little bit better than most people, a little bit more than most
Thank
people, which
you.
is great. So
I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. Yeah, I used to have these huge Christmas parties. Remember the one year I had the like giant croquembouche? That was a whole big deal, and I still do to some extent, but I think all it's really about is just like celebrating and remembering why life is worth living, and it's just good to kind of prop you up. And I think I got more
yeah,
into Valentine's because my girlfriends did here in Texas, but also like it's kind of a downer to put away like the 15 tubs of Christmas decorations I have and then your house goes to nothing. So
yeah,
I kind of started with it in the pandemic, kind of just like maybe there's a little heart thing there instead of just whatever was there before Christmas. Maybe there's a little, you know, and so
yeah,
then it just sort of becomes a way to cheer yourself up and make your home a little brighter.
yeah.
Um, but speaking of dating, I think one of the topics that you and I had discussed for this show was AI dating. I don't really actually know what I intended when I said that topic. I think it was because you brought up the term technosexual, which I
Yeah.
cannot stop thinking about. And I think it would be great for our viewers to understand what that is and where that came from because you know, I haven't dated in 20 years, but I can only imagine how it is in this day and age to try. It has to be like a whole marketing effort, right? Like,
Yeah, the New York Times did an article about, and it was entitled, am I a technosexual or something like that, or just how much of a technosexual am I, that kind of thing. And it was interesting to hear your ears perk up. You're like, what? Oh, technosexual. So it basically has to do with the idea that our love lives and our experiences in the dating world are, at least to some extent, determined by the technology that we're using to create these relationships, continue these relationships, et cetera, et cetera. And what it brought up in my mind was, as a man who has experience on the apps, as we call them, some of the apps have different personalities. And so there's, of course, the likes of Grindr and Scruff, which are tell you where people are geographically, generally, not always, in relation to you. So you can have this quick sort of possible something that leads to a relationship, but in many cases doesn't, and just ends up being sort of a one-time type deal, or maybe a little bit more often than that. And so that's part of the personality of that type of technology. But then there's the kind where it's like, say Match.com, where it's like you have this profile, you check out the profile, and Tinder's a little like this too, right? So you get a profile, you say whether or not you like the person or not, or that you're interested in that person based on what you see, and then you end up possibly organizing a date, and you go on a date, and then you go on another date, and then you go on another date. And so it's sort of like, to what extent do you learn about what you like most in dating through the apps that you use? And so it's an interesting topic. And I know you haven't dated for 20 years, but I feel like you would totally figure it out and be excellent at it. What are your thoughts?
I I'd like find my youngest hottest single friend and be like, just tell me how to do this. Um, but I think my experience mirrors that in that I am a person who's on social media quite a bit because of who I am and what I do and my own interests. And I think, there was a really interesting article this week I read that basically said our social networks are becoming less social.
Mm,
They're being proliferated with AI, with us getting news and ads in our feed, and they're less about actual human interactions, so that the future of our online social interactions are actually going to be in messaging. So group WhatsApps, group Signal chats, group Telegram chats, like that's where the real human interaction is going to move to versus social networks, which, to be honest, like majority of the discourse on social media I have is in the messaging. It's on the
yeah.
messaging on those platforms with
Yep.
like some of my Finnish cousins were talking about going to Finland next year. Like that's not
Ooh,
happening. That's not happening on our public Facebook pages. Like
timelines.
all that yeah, not on the timeline, not on the grid, like the real actual enjoyment of human interaction is happening in a different place. And I don't think I knew in my head, but I don't think I'd seen such a fine point put on it. And that was coupled with a really meaningful bit of commentary from Julia Roberts.
Oh, but she have
That
to say,
got She got me thinking this week. I saw it on Threads of all places. Like I'm like a little embarrassed of how much I like Threads. Uh,
yeah. Well,
it's just
Threads
it's
is the
where
Threads is the yin to or the yang to Twitter's yin, right? Like they're
right.
a similar thing, but you get different kind of like, all I, not to interrupt what you're saying about Julie Roberts, but when I go to Twitter, I know I'm going to get a certain type of political discourse shoved at me. Like not like, without me having ever expressed any interest in it, it will be shown to me. Whereas Threads, it'll kind of do that for the other end of the political discourse, and I'll just have more friends there talking about friend stuff because it's on that Instagram graph.
Exactly.
But yeah, Julia
Exactly.
Roberts.
But that's how I discovered it, which again was like serendipitous. I've had some really great content I found there this week that I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," like human interest stuff. She had posted a lovely picture of her and her niece, who is also a very famous actress, has been in like Scream Queens, a bunch of other stuff, and
Oh,
is got a like really storied career. And they're having this beautiful like auntie niece moment, and she's not in full makeup, she's not on a red carpet, she's in her house or someone's house, and she's not wearing a lot of makeup, she's got her glasses, and they're just smiles.
nice.
And she was commenting that basically like I was shocked and emotionally like affected by the comments people were making about me and my appearance, saying,
Hmm.
hey, she's not aging well. Hey,
Right.
she's not looking good. Like, majority of the comments to her seemed to be about her and her aging and other things that she said it was like it blew her mind that nobody seemed to feel what she felt sharing it, which was the genuine joy of just like a really great time with someone she cared about. And I think that's the best reason to share something is you're having a joyful moment and you want others to share in that joy, but that's not what happened. And she said,
Yeah.
and then I think back of me in my earlier career and how that would make me feel if I were a 15-year-old girl. And, it was, I appreciated that she is someone with such a big platform and such a big profile can acknowledge and get us to start talking about like how these comments affect people, especially our younger people and what it does to them. So I just was really appreciative of her sharing her own vulnerable moment of like, oh my gosh, uh, this is not like making me feel good. And I don't know how I would mentally, and it like got into her brain and it affected her confidence. And it's just like, okay, well, how is a how is a young girl gonna
Yeah.
have that how are we gonna handle that? And how I think that that's something we're not going to solve today on this I didn't mean to get all heavy by the way, but
No, no.
I just I
The thing.
appreciated that she I appreciated it is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, women are, I'll just say it. I have not had the opportunity to be a woman, but one thing, one thing I can say is
Not yet.
not yet, but they're screwed over from both sides. I mean, I've been a lifelong fan of Madonna since I was like a child. And
Yes.
right.
I have
And so,
tickets to see her and I'm like,
oh
yes.
yeah, I do too. It's February 27th that I'm going to go see it.
Oh,
Francisco got
nice.
tickets. Francisco got floor tickets, and so gonna go see that with may not
Nice.
be with him because he might have like a company on site, but it may be with his mom and dad, who are well, not that.
I'd go with
Yeah.
his mom and dad. He's
Okay.
lovely. They've got to be lovely. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not weird. Look
Yeah.
at all the middle-aged men going to Taylor Swift concerts with their daughters and loving it.
I
So,
think I would love to do that too, go to Taylor Swift.
yeah.
But the thing is Madonna is 65. She got plastic surgery and has been nothing but criticized for it. And then there's Julia Roberts who didn't get, or at least did not apparently get plastic surgery. And the fact that we're even having the conversation about it is like, look, this is the type of thing that people pay attention to. But Madonna gets criticized, Julia Roberts get criticized. No matter what you do, you're going to get criticized just for what? For getting a little bit older. I saw the recent Julia Roberts movie on Netflix, the one where the whole world goes crazy. And
Oh man, that was a real woohoo.
but Julia Roberts was like held the movie together with this terrific performance, basically. And then my friend who's in his early 20s said, "Man, she's older, but she's still really beautiful." And so that was really good to hear him say that, especially from like a Gen Zer like that. But I'm like, dude, that's, a beautiful woman is a beautiful woman. So it was good to hear that from a Gen Zer about that. But
Yeah, yeah. And as my younger nephews would say, we're glazing. We need to quit glazing about that's the new term by the way. Julia
what does it
Roberts.
mean?
We're
Does it mean
glazing. We're glazing like we're like waxing on too poetic, I guess. Like we're too we're adoring her, I think is my term. I
uh
don't know. Go to Urban Dictionary, go wherever the people go to
yeah,
know
yeah.
this
We're
now, but
virtue signaling too much in real time.
yeah, yeah. I don't really honestly know the full meaning other than it just I think it means you're being too glowing about someone. I don't think we are. I think she deserves it. She's been in our on our TVs and movie screens for our adult lives. So
Yeah. She's lived
it's
her life in
fine.
the public sphere. So hey, I know we wanted to talk about Elon at some point. What were our other topics? I forget.
So I think on the Gen Z, just to cap, I know I have it
Would
written
you-
down. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
To cap it on the Gen Z conversation, I read in a one of the newsletters I like called Garbage Day. Shout out to Garbage Day. They have kind of like interesting, fun comments that I'm just like I didn't know about that, and gamer things and internet culture things. You might like it,
Right?
John.
Garbage.
But yeah, Garbage Day. They said that they called TikTok is Gen Z Twitter
Yeah.
and YouTube is Gen Z Facebook.
Oh, interesting.
This
Yeah.
blew my mind. And
All I know is, yeah.
it makes sense now. It all came together for me. It was like, okay, this is putting a really nice spin on what all of this is and why this is the way it is. And I don't know, maybe I'm overly impressed with it, but I really thought that was a great insight into
Oh,
why
for
these
sure.
platforms are surging the way or have surged the way they are. But I think the other thing in the news that we should talk about is the Google. We'll get to Elon. Don't worry, I promise. I know you're chomping at the bit for that,
I
Elon.
wrote down what I thought was Elon here, and but it looked like Ellen, and I'm like, Ellen, why would I be talking about Ellen? What is
No one's talking about Ellen anymore. Um,
That's
Google.
Elon's drag name, by the way. Anyway, go ahead.
This kitten has claws. I like it. Google Gemini has is what was once Google Bard. I believe they renamed
Oh,
it.
yeah, yeah. Bard changed its name. Why did it do that?
Well, because Google likes to do that. Lots of tools I've been using for years by Google have changed names for no real reason, like, Data Studio is now Looker Studio. They rename things all the time. I don't understand. I don't pretend to understand. It's not my jam to understand, but
Yeah.
I think they're doing that because they want to pivot. I think they want to reiterate that it's a newer product. I think that they're really trying to keep up with ChatGPT. And I think that from what I have seen so far, the chat assistant is nowhere near ChatGPT in terms of like responsiveness, trainability. Like, I think it's a little rough. But where I think they're going to get a lot of people, and they may pivot and be more successful with this pivot, into the integration of their other apps. So Gemini is going to lock into Gmail, Docs,
Uh,
Maps. So you have somewhere to put. It's like gives you a source for input and output, right? Because you can have it go to your Gmail. You can have it go where ChatGPT kind of stays in ChatGPT. So it sort of tethers you to those apps that you're probably using if you're locked into Gmail or the Google world like I am. So I think this one is still rough and weird because it's Google, like bad UI, but I think this has potential to be actually useful, I think, in a shorter amount of time because of that integration, and it was smart of them to do it.
I was kind of annoyed at Elon. This wasn't the Elon part that I wanted to talk about today, but I was kind of annoyed at him because of Grok, because it's like, on the left-hand side on Twitter, just sitting there. And so I click on it and it's like, hi, I'm Grok or whatever. And I'm like, do. And it's like, you can't use Grok unless you can't, unless you upgrade your Twitter account to premium. And I'm just like, oh God. Come on, I'm already giving you $8 a month or whatever, dude. Can't you at least give me access to Grok? Like I
I'm
even
gonna go. I'm the timer's starting, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I actually wanted to say a good thing about yeah, I
Oh,
wanted to say a good thing about Elon. I was reading up and I learned, and I guess this has been this way for a little bit, but I wanted to get out here that I was happy about it. Neuralink is going to be coming up with some, obviously it already has its human folks who are, it's doing the thing. Anyway, I thought this out well ahead of time. It's going to try and give vision to people, basically. So it's going to like be some kind of tiny little computer. What it gathers the vision, puts it into your brain, type of thing. That's what they're doing with one of the things they're doing with Neuralink. So they think that in the next some amount of years, couple years, they might actually be able to help people with blindness. So as somebody who has had eye issues, I'm looking forward to possibly being able to get this help from Elon. See, it's not always me complaining about Elon. Sometimes I'm saying nice things about Elon. Boop.
which is the first time, by the way, you were done before time. Three, two, one. I mean, hey, we're not trying to we're not trying to make people unhappy here. We're trying to give the good and the bad, and I think that's a real um like tangible thing. That's a
Yeah.
tangible thing that will improve lives. And that was actually my Neuralink kind of had a hot minute a couple years ago, and when I went on Cheddar, it was about Elon and Neuralink, and I said, I think that this is great, like this the idea of this is like sort of like overreaching brain computer control, like
Mm,
great, but what about specific use cases like the human eye? And like I specifically said on that interview, like
yeah.
why don't we use this for applications of parts of our body versus like trying to replicate or control the brain, which seems a lot more complicated and time intensive. So kudos to him that this is actually something that's going to happen in our lifetimes, which is pretty exciting.
But for me, this is how he keeps pulling me back into appreciation for him, is by doing these things that could actually really be helpful. And it's sort of he just sort of veers haphazardly sometimes from things that are wildly inappropriate to things that are really awesome if he can do them. So it's like, and sometimes there's no in between. It's like, but what are you gonna do?
Right. I mean, there's a reason that he's out there for us to talk about, right? Because some
Yeah.
actual work got done. People like their Teslas,
Yeah.
those batteries. There has been, some success there that has given him the rise in profile that he's had.
And the money to be able to back up these big moonshot type
Yeah,
ventures.
let's not glaze though. We're not glazing.
No
Just I
glazing.
I want to just say we're absolutely not glazing.
We're glazeless.
Yeah, not glazing Elon, not glazing Ellen, because I have heard some bad things. But
Yes, right.
um yeah, I think overall it's for me personally, it's getting to be that time of year where all my friends show up at South by Southwest, and
Yeah. It's
I
not for
have made,
me, but I might come.
well, you say that,
Yeah.
you're teasing it, you've been teasing it. And I will say there are some great things going on at the Grit Daily House. I think
Yes,
that
yes.
people should definitely register and show up at the Grit Daily House for some great content and
Yeah.
snackies. I don't know if I mentioned, John, there are snackies.
There are snacks.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
really
they had. Oh,
something
sorry. Go ahead.
that gets my heart. That's all.
I know I should have started with snacks. There's a really cool dude on the barbecue making sausage tacos and brisket and shrimp tacos, and like there's just flows of food and drinks, and it's a fun time because it's a very well curated, interesting audience, and there are tons of interesting things. It's South by Southwest, but I'm obviously partial to Grit Daily, our gracious hosts, but
Man.
um, I think that our viewers should send fan mail demanding John and I do on the ground South by South coverage together, and then he will be compelled to buy that plane ticket.
Yep, yep. And I could trade it in for my United miles. That could be what I'm able to do. I'd have to go do that. I mean, I imagine it's probably not as crazy as it was back in the day, maybe 5, 10 years ago, where I actually had to take a flight into San Antonio and then drive 90 minutes and drive
Ooh,
who I didn't even know 90 minutes, but who was also going to South by Southwest. And we were both, and we just kind of ended up, hey, you want to go in on this together? And we did, and it worked. And I ended up seeing him at like a South by Southwest party, one of the many at some point during the week. That was in the days when I would stay for 5, 6 days, or when I was with Village Voice Media one year, 9 days, and it was great. So
yeah, that's a lot of days. Yeah, so I think worth a visit if you've never, our viewers, if you've never been, definitely worth checking out, but it's not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart. And my favorite though is the executive that says they need to go for like 2 meetings and then
mm,
just starts wilding out because they're like free from their family or whatever obligations at home, and
yeah,
you kind of see them find themselves a little bit in the week. I've seen that a few times, and it's always like just hilarious to me. It's like they're Burning Man.
yeah, like Carlos. Are we talking about Carlos? No, I'm kidding. Anyway,
No, no, no. I'm not talking about anybody specific. I'm just
yes, no,
like,
no. Forget I said anybody's name. Sorry.
so, but yeah, so I think that's a great place to leave it unless there's something else you have in mind to talk about, because my brain is blanking.
Well, the only thing I would say about South by Southwest is that it is definitely a consideration, but I think April 8th for the total eclipse, I may be in town and would be able to see you then. But that obviously there wouldn't be a Grit Daily House for that. So it's it's a choice. I'm not sure if it's an either or, but I'll have to just figure it out.
Well, we could do the show from live from the Grit Daily house if we got special permission, for,
Ooh.
powers that be at Grit Daily if you're watching.
Ah,
Uh,
yeah, 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 not a
but we'll
bad
see.
idea. Not a bad idea.
We'll
Okay, sounds good.
see.
Hey,
Well,
anything like on the TV? What are you watching TV this week?
this week I think I've been binging very old episodes of Law and Order.
Oh, nice.
The original classic series, and I call it a form of self-soothing.
Hmm.
I find I do it when I get really busy, or if I'm like, if I do it too much, too many days in a row, I'm like asking myself, like, are you okay? Um, but I'm into the seasons that have Detective Lupo, and I like him because he's like a modern
Ah, okay.
Lenny Briscoe with like the one-liners. I
Yeah.
think it was a good couple of seasons for him. So, um, yeah, I've been really weirdly into that. Sometimes you want to go, sometimes it's nice to go with the older stuff. And as you know, I also every Saturday treat myself to one episode of Murder She Wrote.
Ah, that is just amazing that you do that. I have a couple of things that I do. One is a limited series on the BBC from the 90s, Pride and Prejudice. Uh,
Oh, that's a good one. Yes, I've seen it. Yes.
really good. Yeah, I love that one. And it has the big actor. I forgot his name. Don't know why it's not in my brain, but he
Oh, that ended up on Succession. That's Tom on Succession. Or am I
uh
thinking someone else?
someone else, someone else. It's the one who won the best actor Oscar for I forget, for playing the King's Speech. That actor.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I don't want to bore everyone as I run through the wrong five names. But if you know, you know, put it in the comments.
Yeah, yeah, right. No, that guy, he's really good. He's really good at the whole thing's really good. It's a good production. That and the Golden Girls. So the Golden Girls, I watch clips.
Classic.
Yeah, just a classic. And
What a comforting show that is to watch.
oh yeah,
Have you seen the spin-off, The Golden Palace?
no, what is that? The Golden.
So they actually had a spin-off, a one season spin-off of the Golden Girls called The Golden Palace. It's not very good. It
Who
was
did it?
just like it was like just Estelle Getty and
Uh-oh.
B. Arthur, I think.
Oh,
It
okay.
was and they like started running a hotel and it was like the Golden Palace and it was
It didn't work out, huh?
it was one season. But
Yeah,
if you're itching for more, if you needed to see where that journey took them,
I got to go find it. I got to go find it. Well, it's probably on
yeah.
Hulu or something.
I have no idea. I just know that someone who knew I liked the Golden Girls told me, and then they said, like, don't get your hopes up. Like you're thinking there's more of that magic, that lightning in a bottle, and that's not what that is. So when I tell people about it, I feel, and having watched it, I tell people because I'm like, I want you to get a little excited because there's more of it, but know that it's not the same,
Yeah, yeah,
which is often true of our sequels, right? So
yeah. Well, what else do we have on our topic list? Oh, by the what I was going to say is the other, I haven't been able to watch the most recent True Detective, and although I like it, I'm not feeling the same level of magic that I got from that first season, especially. And you know, to a far lesser extent, the second and the third seasons, which I still enjoyed those for what they were worth. But yeah, so that's the way I'm feeling.
yeah, the Vince Vaughn season was like
It was different. Yeah.
flaming hot garbage. It didn't fit in the rest of it just the vibe of it was just it was like a whole different show. I mean, I love a good anthology.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying the Feud show, the Truman Capote season
Okay.
with the Swans, but I will say that it's a husband leave the room show.
Ah,
So I put that on. But anyway, back to True Detective.
husband leave
I
the
think it's a lot slower. It's a lot
yeah,
slower paced, and to get started, it's definitely been a bit of a build up. So,
slow burn.
a friend who told me they were looking for a new show, as I said, that's actually one to binge
Yeah.
because I would like let it pile up and then go because it might be more satisfying to watch that one all in one
Yep.
shot versus like waiting week over week because you're not getting further in the plot
Yeah,
very fast, which is frustrating. And
totally. They're giving
but
you the
I'm gonna watch it.
edge.
Yeah, they're really making you work for it, which I hope is a build up. But I mean, I love Jodie Foster, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep watching it. But I think my excitement has also cooled a little bit, but I'm open to being excited again. But I think I might let a few episodes kind of pile up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
see if it might be more fun to watch in a row because you'll see more. Some
That's a
shows
great
are
way.
just better binged. Yeah.
Yeah, in general. I think it's yeah, in general it's more enjoyable that way, for sure. Although I can do okay with it, but you just yeah, it has to deliver. It has to keep delivering to justify the coming back again in a week type thing. You
I
know.
mean, so do we.
Yes. Yeah.
So do we. We have to keep those, my mom and those handful of other people coming back and we appreciate it. All of
Several
you
dozen
watching
people.
in the 20s to 30s. But we're building, we're back. I think, we took like a decade hiatus.
We did.
So, I mean, I get it. You guys, you need us to commit before you commit, and that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, no, that like any good relationship, we have to do our part, you know.
Exactly. Mend your own fence.
Well, what I would say is if we do wind down and end the show here in the next couple of minutes, it would be the first time that we did it in less than the time that we had allotted. Right now we just have like 2 minutes, 45 seconds left. So it's up to us where
Wow,
yeah,
laser like precision.
right.
You went under on your Elon minute. We're going right at
No,
time for our Zoom
it was just
timeout. I think it's okay. Let's leave our audience wanting.
yeah, yeah, it's good to leave them wanting more. They'll appreciate it.
Exactly. Who knows what hot takes we'll have next week, especially after the Super Bowl, you know?
Yeah, I know that it's definitely something that we wanted to talk about. There's a whole subject or two there, and I suppose let's just see how that goes, and then we can react.
Exactly, exactly. I want to make zero predictions due to me not knowing football, but I will be watching the ads. I always tune into the Super Bowl to watch the ads because that's the part I like.
And we do have in a Gen Xer's dream, we have Usher and Millennial Dream. We got Usher, taking the stage in the halftime show, which is going to be interesting to see. It probably won't be as good as Rihanna from last year, but you never know.
I mean, that came with a fun reveal. I
It,
mean, whoa, that's like the
whoa,
internet for a week could only talk about that bump. And
totally.
I'm still impressed she kept it secret. But because very few things are secret anymore, I feel like there's not enough mystery.
Right? And how she did all that up 50 feet or however high she was. I hope there was some kind of net that we didn't see, or like she secretly had like a rope tied to her. So anyway,
I have every faith that they protected her.
yeah.
But Riri, she knows what's up. She knows how she's handling
Riri.
herself. I'm referring to her like we're friends, but
Riri.
thank you everybody for tuning in again and indulging our bric-a-brac and our internet whims. And I hope everyone has a lovely rest of your day and keep watching.
Sounds good. Love you, everyone. See ya. Bye bye.